A new policy has been adopted for surveillance cameras stationed around the village of Clayton. Officials say it's in the interest of public safety. 7 News reporter Mark Mason Jr. has more.
This stack of papers is 10 months worth of research Village of Clayton lawyers did to create a new video policy. A policy that affects the village's 20 cameras pointed at various places along Riverside Drive. Until now, there was no policy regarding those cameras. But this policy, signed in December, Clayton Mayor Nancy Hyatt is very confident in.
Before we signed it, of course, the board and everyone, the police department, looked at the policy to make sure. And the police said, this is spot on, it's exactly what we need.
So what's in this new policy? 11 sections which detail how these cameras operate, their function within the village, and the limitations in which they may be used. One of those sections regards audio. No audio is collected from the footage. Another section regards the Constitution's defined reasonable expectation of privacy. The policy explains that each village camera will be specifically programmed to avoid any potential violation of that reasonable expectation of privacy. Section 8, that points towards one of the primary purposes of the cameras and the new policy: police and security purposes.
We've been able to track down people who have done destruction. Maybe they've slammed into someone's car. Things of that nature. It's been helpful.
Village police are currently the only ones capable of viewing the village camera footage, and under this policy they are allowed to use that footage to create records. Mayor Hyde explains why she believes a policy like this is necessary.
As everyone knows, life has changed tremendously, and it's changed quickly. It's for public safety purposes.
Additional cameras are being eyed for places like the river, which Hyde says they may add live streaming capability to. If they do decide to start live streaming, the footage would need to comply with the new policy. Mark Mason Jr., 7 News.